Welcome to this special summer episode of UCA Scoreboard. I'm your host, Abigail Hodson, and joining me today is Spencer Griffin and former quarterback, Winrick Smothers, which is convenient. Sorry about the former part. Convenient because today we're going to talk about UCA football and recap this past season and talk about the upcoming season this fall. So to start off, guys, Steve Campbell was named the head coach of Central Arkansas football on December 20th. What was your first reaction to this news?
My first reaction was, who? I didn't know who this guy was. He seemed to come out of nowhere for me, and I'm so used to hearing, UCA head coach Clint Conk. So it's weird to kind of put in another name right there. You hear people around campus saying Steve Campbell, and it takes a while to ring in your head. You're thinking, who? Oh, yeah, he replaced Conk. But, yeah, it's a lot different. But it seemed to me to come out of nowhere because I expected some other coaches from around maybe the league even, and that have been around UCA a little bit more to come in and be the head coach. I'd been hearing a lot of names, and in fact there were some false reports of other coaches coming in, so I was unsure what to believe. When I heard his name, I was real confused at first, but now that I've looked at his bio and stuff, I see that he's a little more legit than I thought at first.
Yeah, and I'd have to say my first reaction was, wow, they actually let Clint Conk go. So much he's done for this university and the football program, been here, 13, 14 years, and pretty much had a winning season every time except for two. So it was kind of hard to believe to see. And then me being here when I came in, Coach Conk has always been the head coach. I've always been with him. So it was just kind of, I wouldn't say hard, but it was real surprising. But, I guess it was his time to go. Actually, from some people I won't name, I've actually heard that Coach Conk was going to leave almost, my first or second year here, but, he's been staying here. I guess it finally came true. So, like I said, I couldn't believe it. Coach Conk's done so much for the program and university. It was kind of hard to look at, but hey, he's gone, and everyone has to make a change every once in a while, and I guess UCA has made theirs.
Well, we know from the previous show what Abby thinks about Coach Conk, if you got to catch that.
I just look at it from a player's perspective, and if my coach had went to an interconference school, I would definitely label that school as my biggest rival now. SFA isn't really a huge rival. Everyone's your rival in conference, but they're going to have Conk's, headhunter out now next season.
That's for sure.
Kind of depending on what those teams' records are, the seats are definitely going to be full of that game.
You kind of mentioned it just now, but were you guys surprised that the athletic department named a coach from a junior college and not really a coach with FCS coaching experience?
I would say a little bit, but at the same time, you wanted to see someone, of course, have some experience on the FCS level. But when you look at basically his accolades and the things he's been doing before he's even got here, you can say, that guy may be just right for this program. He led two teams to national titles, Mississippi Gulf Coast and Delta State. And while he was at Mississippi Gulf Coast for the 10 seasons, he won 87 games. So he's clearly proven himself. He's established. He's an established coach. He's a player's coach. The players love that about him. And you can't really doubt that decision that much. Besides maybe the FCS record, but it's not like we're talking about an SEC level, Pac-12 level. He made a little step up. It wasn't a huge jump. So I think he'll be fine. He's done well everywhere he's been. So I don't see him missing the beat.
Yeah, at first I really did think, I was like, who is this guy? How do you know he's going to perform well at this level? And why would you hire somebody that's not at this level already when you have other candidates that are better qualified? But then I did look a little bit more into his bio and saw what all he had done at the D2 level, and past places he had been as maybe an offensive line coach or a grad assistant. He had been to some bigger places, and after seeing that, I figure he's got enough experience, and you're going to end up having to every coach has to make a jump somewhere, and this is just his. And I think it's a good jump considering all the experience he's shown in D2. Now he just, bumps up just a little bit. Like you said, not a huge jump, but he definitely bumps up, and he's going to have to prove his worth here in his first few years. But I think he'll be pretty successful.
Yeah, definitely, don't doubt it.
Coach Campbell has been here since December, like I said, so he's been around for 3 or 4 months now. What has impressed you the most about him?
Well, you mentioned he is a big players coach and got a good hands-on approach. I definitely like that. He's liked by all the players, but I think most of all what I've seen is his fast recruiting. I thought he got, he didn't get gypped because he got the job, obviously. But he comes in, he has a shorter recruiting time than most, but he still manages to recruit 26 athletes from 10 different states. I thought that was a quick recruiting class that, some of them were Conx players, but I feel like he brought in some of them as well. And if you can do that quick, it shows, that you're liked around the country as well, not just at this university, and that you can recruit multiple places. Now, I'm interested to see next year, which is going to be mostly all his recruiting class, if he can keep it up. I think he will pretty easily, considering where all he's been and all the connections he has. I think he'll do fine. But I think that's the one thing that I think he brings to the table is good recruiting and widespread recruiting at that.
Yeah, definitely. And you just touched on this before you got into the recruiting, but the players how quickly that impressed me the most. How quickly the players rallied behind the new coach, because that's not something easy to do. You got a new coach bringing in a totally new system, something that you're not used to, especially for players that's been in the system for 3 or 4 years. You got them so used to the Conch system. Now you just come in and switching everything all up. But some kind of way, the players are so excited to play for them. They were ready to come out to practice. They were ready to hit. They were ready to there was just so much excitement. Now, was that the fact that it was a new coach, or just a whole new, they get to shake off last season to start another one? But I'm blaming it on the coach. I think they were really excited about it. Actually, I talked to some players specifically. Like I said, not saying any names, but they were waiting for a new coach to be here. They were waiting for somebody new to step in and change the whole scene, the whole environment, the whole outlook on the UCA program. And it wasn't just that player in general, in specific, that I'm talking about that likes the coach. Everyone does. I haven't heard one complaint yet from any staff members, any players, any trainers, anything like that. So that kind of surprised me. It's kind of hard to just step into a program and change everything and be like, y'all follow me and this is how it's going to be, without someone having some kind of disagreement to it.
Yeah.
And I didn't hear anything. Of course, I'm not on the inside anymore, but as far as what I've heard from being on the outside, they're completely fine with it, and I think that's going to lead to some success.
Yeah, and looking at practice in that scrimmage, seeing what he was doing with their players, it seems like he's got just enough discipline. However, just enough, praise that he gives the players as well. He's got it really balanced out to where they like him, but they know not to mess up because he's going to get on them. And I think that's a perfect balance to have. I think he's got that down right now. I hope to continue to see that from him. It'd be good, obviously, for him, his coaching staff, and his players.
Yeah, I definitely see success in his future, maybe very near future.
Yeah.
We'll have to see.
We saw a glimpse of what the Bears have been working on with Coach Campbell this offseason in the purple and gray scrimmage, and a couple of practices you could go see. And through the spring portion of workouts that are now complete, what areas do you think that need to be addressed by Coach Campbell?
I want to say just consistency on both sides of the ball. I was there for all 3 scrimmages. The first one, the offense tore it up. It's like they scored every single time they touched the ball. It's like nobody could do wrong. If a receiver caught a pass, he was taking it to the end zone. If a running back got a handoff, he was taking it to the end zone. The quarterback celebrated left and right, up and down the field. It's crazy. But you come a couple weeks later, the defense is killing it. It's like they couldn't even get a snap off. The centers are just high on snaps. Quarterbacks can't catch snaps. You see a pick 6, but I'm pretty sure it's Ryan Howard by Dominique Brown that came off his injury, took it all the way back for maybe about 70-something yards. It was just crazy how the defense just brought that energy and that fire, and it just took over. And you were like, what happened to the offense I just saw a couple weeks ago? It kind of blew my mind, but. But the spring game, it was a little more balanced, I would say, from the 2 sides. But I would definitely think that the consistency, because if you want a new system to come into place and be successful, you got to get the players to, first of all, learn it and be consistent with it. Because consistency is key in whatever you do, especially when you're learning something new. You got to go ahead and get it down, because there's not much time to waste. So those players got to jump on board and really learn, because everything's fast track from here on out. Summer's going to go by, next thing you know, fall camps, then the season's coming. So I really think that consistency is going to be key.
Yeah, I can see 2 specific areas that I think need just a little bit of work, not obviously too much. I think they're doing pretty good right now. One, not so shocking, the running game. It hadn't been there for a while for UCI. I don't think as strong as people would like it to be, and as strong as Campbell would like it to be either, because I think he would love to establish a great running game. And they did do well in the scrimmages. However, that last scrimmage, first team offense against the second team defense, it's harder to gauge it on that a little bit more than if it were to be in game, and if teams would stop that running game a little bit more because of you do have that imbalance in the scrimmage. And then the other one is surprising to me because Coach Campbell works so closely with them, and it's the O-line. I think I saw a lot more sacks than I think should have been had during that last spring game. And, whose fault that was, not real sure.
Yeah, I'm about to say.
However, you could put that a lot on defense.
Yeah, it depends on how you're looking at it.
You really could. You could put that on good defense or bad O-line. But regardless, I think the O-line could always get better. Anytime you get better at protecting your quarterback, making holes for your running backs, I think that's always a positive. And with him, working so closely with the offensive line like he likes to do, that's the kind of coach he is. I think he's going to be successful at that. I think he's going to be able to improve that tremendously throughout the season, throughout the offseason. I don't think he'll have any trouble with that, but I am definitely interested to see what he does.
All right, and just in the offensive lineman's defense right here, the sacks now aren't always their fault. It depends on where, it depends on, like I said, I play quarterback, so I had the experience. But, sometimes the quarterbacks, we get back there, we hold the ball a little too long, and, the offensive line is doing their job. They're supposed to give you about 4 to 5 seconds max, so you don't get rid of the ball by then, the sack's on you. But, our offensive line has never just been perfect here or all that amazing, besides maybe like the first year I got here. But other than that, we wasn't just always that sharp at just protecting. But hey, if you're a good quarterback, you're real savvy, you got to get the ball out of your hand. You got to save those offensive linemen sometimes. So
yeah, and the main reason I just really put it on the offensive line's shoulders is because you do have more experience. More experience. At the wide receiver, especially if they can get open. These wide receivers are going to get open. These quarterbacks are experienced. The running backs are pretty experienced. So that really only left me with the offensive line and just the ability of the defense as well.
Yeah.
Try to avoid quarterbacks in this next question because we're going to talk about that later, and it's obviously going to be a big discussion for us. But are there any other key positions besides quarterbacks that you guys are looking forward to watch?
This is going to sound pretty surprising and maybe like a smaller position, but I'm excited to watch the kick return and punt return game because I saw in the spring game he had Jatavius Wilson back there the majority of the times catching the punts. He did put Clay Murphy back there, but I'm curious to see if he goes with the conch strategy of we want to secure the ball, and that's what we're going to do. So there's not going to be a whole lot of big return plays in the punt game. And the kick return game is a little different. But, I'm excited to see if he does put Jatavius Wilson or somebody else back there to return the punts, and he tries to go for the big play rather than the secure catch. I think it'll be interesting. Both players are good, obviously offer different things, and then there's other players that can step back there as well. So I think it's an interesting position. May not be the biggest position, obviously, but it's just one that I had in mind when I saw him back there. I thought, Clint Conk usually didn't do something like that, but I'm interested to see.
That is very true. That is very true. And like Abby said to begin with, I think everyone's instinct is to say quarterback, of course. But besides the quarterback position, of course, that's coming up, I'm anxious to see the defensive backs.
Okay.
You got a lot of young talent back there, and kind of surprising. I saw a couple of interceptions from guys. I'm like, who is that? And you saw a lot of batted passes, a lot of good tackling, and like I said earlier, defensive Dominique Brown got an interception and took it back for like 70-something yards.
Defensive Brown.
And he's coming off was it a meniscus tear or something like that? He missed the whole season last year. So, he's basically coming back. You're trying to see what he's going to do. And everyone was used to seeing Dylan Winfrey at the corner position. Last year, he not even played corner anymore. He's like a kind of nickel type guy. He's just that hybrid type position. He's going to maybe drop back in coverage or maybe blitz off the edge a little bit because he is very quick and very small, so maybe get around those defensive linemen. But I'm willing to see who's gonna be those two corners and who's gonna be those safeties. You got Robert Jones, Terrell. There's a bunch of guys out there, so I'm kind of anxious to see who's gonna be protecting stopping those deep balls.
Now going on the other side of the ball, who the D-backs have to go against. How do you think that receiver position is? How do you think coach is going to fit all those receivers to get playing time on that field? Because there's a lot of receivers on this team.
There definitely is, and you're going to see a bunch of sweeps with Jatavius, of course, like we did with Jesse Grandy when I was playing. You're going to see a lot of sweeps, but actually not just aimed at Jatavius. If you really watched and paid attention, whoever is in that position to get the ball is going to get the sweep. Let it be Clay Murphy, Justin Burdett, Blake Gardner, it's just whoever's there is going to get it. And of course you got Des Lewis and Courtney Whitehead on the outsides, just attacking every corner, going up and get it. Of course we know Desmond Lewis is he's gonna do what he has to do. He's gonna get his touches. He's gonna score. And Courtney really came along a lot towards the end of last season, and you see he's a very dangerous player, and he's basically that type of guy where put it in his vicinity and he's gonna basically grab it. So the receivers they definitely have a lot of talent on that side of the ball also. So it should be exciting to watch them also.
Yeah, definitely interested in seeing that slot receiver spot and seeing that depth with Coach running that no huddle offense. It'll definitely come into play during the season.
Right.
For the last time, we're going to talk about this before the fall season begins. Quarterback of the Bears for 2014, Taylor Reed or Ryan Howard?
Both. There's no way those guys right there are so talented. I mean, you have to take advantage of both skill sets. When I first came in, I was going in maybe every other drive, just going in and running and stuff like that, and maybe throwing it a little bit. But after I went down last year, Ryan Howard came in and threw, I think, 17 touchdown passes in about 6 games. Are you serious? And everyone knows Taylor Reed's skill sets. He's that guy that can run it. He definitely has a great arm also, but you have to take advantage of both skill sets. You have Ryan Howard there. He's a dynamic passer. He's accurate. He's going to put the ball where it needs to be. But also, he's not going to be that guy that's going to wiggle out of pressure. He's not going to really make many people miss. He's going to be that guy to throw it away, and he's going to be that guy to maybe take a couple sacks. Whereas Taylor, on the other hand, he's going to make those defenders miss. He's going to get 10, 15 yards just from a broken play, or maybe just pop up and throw a deep touchdown that the defensive back forgot about. So you have to take advantage of both skill sets. The Coach Campbell is going to. I really see him having that 2 quarterback system a lot like Coach Conk did, because, like I said, you don't have the experience behind either of those two, so you definitely don't have to worry about that. But the 2 quarterback system, I feel like you have to use it, because those plays that Taylor might miss throwing the ball, Ryan's going to take care of it, and Ryan can run that option, that speed sweep type, read option type deal. Taylor's really good at. So I feel like you have to take advantage of both, and I think he's going to use both of those guys equally. Yeah,
I think you're right, and I think Howard will get naturally the bulk of the snaps, at least at the beginning of the season, just because of his experience with this particular team. But I do think both players will get plenty of playing time. I think Reed will actually throw the ball a lot more. I know Campbell mentioned in his interview that even though he didn't throw as many passes as the majority of the quarterbacks in the Southland Conference, he led the league in pass efficiency. And so I think those numbers plus, what you've seen in practice and stuff like that, I think he will start throwing the ball a little bit more just to throw off the defenses, because they do expect him to come in and just to run, because it's the majority of what he did last year. So when you have now him dropping back to pass a little more, I think it's gonna be hard to play that quarterback system if they use it right, if they put him in the right situations. But I kind of want to talk about the more distant future. What do you think about Hayden Hildebrand? Because I saw him in practice and in scrimmage, and his mechanics, everything about him looked pretty good.
Only thing I can say about Hayden Hildebrand is the future. He is the future of UCA. I'm calling it right now. This is his redshirt freshman season. Of course, he has the Ryan and Taylor right there, but Ryan's going to be gone. I'm pretty sure Taylor maybe has a season or 2 left, but sorry to say this, Taylor, but Hayden's coming for you. Hayden's real good. Talked to one of the coaches. Hayden probably has the highest ceiling, I should say, out of all the quarterbacks. He has the quick release, and then he can fling it about at least 60 yards easily, and he's athletic. I think it's 40 times, maybe like a low 4.5. And he's kind of stiff with it, but once he gets in the game, gets a little more experience, I definitely see him taking over this quarterback position and being one of the greats at UCA.
Yeah, I think that's one thing he has on Taylor Reed, is the compact release, the mechanics more so. Reed has that longer release. You see that a little bit, and so I think that's what he might have going over him in the next season. But do you think he gets any snaps this season?
Don't really see it unless one of those games to become maybe a 30, 40-point blowout, and Coach Brown wants to see Hayden just, go out and operate and just show his mechanics and just do the simple things right, because that's what coaches want to see. They want to see you do the simple things right, that you can go out and operate against, in a game-type environment and not break down and be nervous and stuff like that, because if he does show that, he probably won't do that again. So, I really hope he goes in, and if there is by chance a blowout and, Coach Brown wants to put Hayden in there, go out and show what he can do and, hand the ball off a couple of times, make some short screen passes, some real simple pass plays, and, show that he's going to be that player that I expect him to be.
Well, before we started filming this segment of Scoreboard, I had the chance to sit down and ask Ryan Howard a few questions, so let's take a look at that. Coach Conk left UCA to go coach at rival Stephen F. Austin, and Steve Campbell was brought in to replace him. How is the offense different with Coach Campbell?
It's going to be different. It's not going to be a whole lot different. We still, kind of transition, learn some things. Obviously, the verbiage is going to be different. The plays are going to be similar. The running game is going to change quite a bit, but. Honestly, in football, if you're a spread offense, they're all pretty much the same. It's just verbiage. Every time a new coach comes in, it's just different verbiage that the players have to learn, whether it's plays, formations, whatever it may be. So it's going to be different, but in a lot of ways, I think it's going to be similar. We're just going to execute it better.
What should fans expect more of this next season, a ground game or more passing, or just an all-around balanced attack?
I think it's going to vary game to game. Obviously, this spring offensively we had a very good offense. Offense performed well this spring, and I think that's something to look forward to in the season, because we have a lot of returning starters who finished the season last year. We had all those injuries, which was unfortunate, but the good thing looking into the next year is we only lost one starter that started the last 5 games of the year, so that's very encouraging. But I think when you tell the fans what they're going to look forward to, what can they expect, I think expect what the defense is going to give us. If they're going to stop us from throwing the ball, then we're not going to throw the ball. So we're going to run it. So that game might be run heavy. If a team wants to stop the run, then we're going to throw the ball however many times we need to. So I think it's just going to vary game to game on what the opponent does to us.
This fall is going to mark your 5th year here at Central Arkansas, but it's your first going into off-season and summer camp as the starting quarterback. How has your off-season been this spring?
I don't think off-season it hasn't changed a whole lot for me, as far as work ethic and preparation, because every year, whether I was going to be the backup or even the third-string guy, my first couple years here, it didn't change the way I worked in the off-season, and because, I went into the spring saying, hey, I got to do the best I can be. I got to be as ready as I can be, and then when the season comes, I got to be prepared as best as I can, and always be prepared. So I don't think, from the work ethic and that part changed at all. Obviously going into this spring with a new offense and having to learn new stuff, I obviously dedicated myself more to learning it before spring practice started. So once spring ball started, I could just go out there and just react instead of having to think what was going on.
In your 5 years at Central Arkansas, you have been the backup behind 2 greats, Nathan Dick and Winrick Smothers. What did you learn from these two that you're going to take in to next season?
I think the best thing about being a backup is whether you're second string or third string, you get to see everything. You see everything you see from a coach's perspective, because you're not getting a lot of practice reps. You're obviously not playing in the game, so you see everything. You see when the starter messes up, so you see that. You see why he messes up. So I think the best thing being a quarterback is backup, behind Nathan and Winrick is, I saw, when they made mistakes. We go back, watch it on film, watch it in practice, watch it in the game, the mistakes they made, and then you learn from that. So once your time comes, you don't make the same mistake twice. That's the key to anything. You never want to make the same mistake twice. So, learning from Winrick and Nathan, obviously they had 2 different style of games, and my game more correlates up with Nathan's than it does Winrick, just because he had the running effect to it. But just learning from their mistakes is the biggest thing, and just talking to them, talking through it, talking over game plans and defenses and type, and just going about that, just taking stuff from them and just kind of sharing all the information.
We were at the purple and gray game a few weeks ago, and it was a beautiful day, and there was a great crowd. And through that scrimmage, did you think the team was more energized and excited than previous spring games?
I think all spring our team was energized and more excited. You know, as far as starting in January with a new strength coach, you know, and our new workout, you know, everyone coming in didn't know what to expect, but there's plenty of energy. And, you know, the good thing about change is it brings a different kind of energy to the system. You know, being here, you know, with Coach Conk for 4 years, you know, you can kind of tell there's not much energy in the system because everyone's done it. There's nothing to really be excited about because it's the same thing you keep doing over and over. And that's with anything in life. You know, you keep doing something over and over, you lose excitement. It's just something about change brings excitement to it. But definitely through the coaching staff, brings excitement. They make you excited every day coming to work, coming to practice. And so there was a different kind of feeling and excitement, a lot more positive energy this spring, which is always good and encouraging.
Right, I'm going to ask you a couple of series of questions, and I know you're going to answer them with humility, but based on your preference, just try to answer the best you can and maybe explain why. Who is your favorite receiver to throw to?
Well, I don't have favorite receivers. Obviously, you know, a defense is going to dictate who you throw the ball to. You're not just going to throw it to somebody because he's your favorite if he's covered by 3 guys. You know, that's just asking for trouble. But I think in different situations, you kind of, you know, if it's in the red zone type and we got a good matchup outside, obviously I want to give my outside receivers an opportunity to catch a fade ball, you know, whether it's Des Lewis, Courtney Whitehead, Damian Watts, Jose Moore, whoever it may be, one of those guys, you know, if we got a matchup, I want to give it to them. You know, if we want to stretch the ball down the field a little bit, you know, maybe look for our faster receivers such as Jatavius Wilson, you know, running one-on-one with a safety. You know, if it's a critical 3rd and 5 play, and obviously you're going to hit the guy that's open. And so, you know, so I don't play favorites. I like to spread the ball out and just do what I'm supposed to do with the ball, and that's complete passes. And all of my receivers are great. They all have great hands. They all run great routes. They all do something that is specific for them. They all do something good. You know, Clay Murphy, he's real reliable on his hands. Justin Burdett, they'll catch with their hands. You know, Jatavius, as I said, he's got speed. The other guys, they got height advantage. Desmond Lewis, you know, give him the ball and just let him work. And so it just, you know, who's ever open, I'm going to give him the ball. And
which offensive lineman are you most comfortable with?
I don't think you can play a favorite for offensive line because once you play one favorite, the other will get you sacked. So, but no, the offensive line does a great job. You know, we offensive line, you got to rotate in because injuries, that's where most teams find injuries is offensive line. So depth is huge. And this past season, I don't know, we might have went through eight offensive linemen or 9 throughout the year, and they all do a phenomenal job. So offensive linemen, it's one of those things where they just got to gel together to where they're clicking on all cylinders, and that's what makes the best offensive line, the ones that just gel together. So as a whole, they're all my favorite because they're all just as important as someone else.
Which running back is your favorite to hand the ball off to or to catch a pass out of the backfield?
Well, handing the ball off, you know, it's not hard. You know, it's not going to – someone doesn't take a handoff better than someone else. All of our running backs are different. You know, Blake Beasley, he's more of a downhill type runner guy. You know, Kelton's more get on the edge. Denzel and Willie, they're very similar. They're good, shifty guys and make good cuts and stuff. And so they all got their strengths and weaknesses. And so, you know, it's like with spread offenses, the object of a spread offense is to get the ball in your playmakers' hands and watch them do it. You know, it makes quarterback jobs a lot easier having great guys at running back that you can just hand the ball off to and they can go and make yards.
What is your most anticipated game in 2014?
I'd say they're all. I'm looking forward to this season. Since I've been here, it's our best off-season. Not off-season, non-conference schedule, and so it's exciting. You know, obviously Texas Tech's big because it's the first game, and it's a bigger school, and we go down there. It's going to be a great environment. You know, they did great things in the Big 12 this past year. They won their bowl game against Arizona State. They got a great team, great coach. And so that's an exciting game. But then, you know, just a couple weeks later down the road, we go up to Montana State, who's a big FCS powerhouse. You know, we went up to Montana in the playoffs a couple years ago didn't perform our best. So, we kind of want to get the Montana bad taste out of UCA's mouth. So that's going to be an exciting game. Obviously, when we open up conference, every conference game is exciting because it's just, the Southland's tough every year. Of course, a lot of guys on the team are looking forward to SFA just because, Coach Kant left. But I don't think him leaving makes that game any more important than what it already is. It's a conference game. They're a good team. They're going to be good. He's a good coach. He's going to have them ready to play, and they're going to be tough in conference.
I knew you were going to answer those series of questions, just really humble. But that's good to have a quarterback leading his team with humility. What is the biggest strength in your offense this season?
Just going through spring practice, I think our running game just was phenomenal. I mean, since I've been here, our running game's kind of been non-existent. It was kind of, hey, let's hand it off to show the defense that we'll hand it off. But, there really wasn't much of a running threat. And just this spring, going against our defense, we really ran the ball well. And I think that's something to really look forward to because you can't be one-dimensional in football. You can't win. You can win, but you can't win championships being one-dimensional because it's too easy to stop. You got to be able to do both. And so I think that's exciting. I'm just excited to see how the run game's going to happen. And obviously it starts with the offensive linemen up front, and they've did a phenomenal job this spring, every single one of them, and I think it's going to continue and carry over into next season.
What is your prediction for the 2014 season?
My prediction? I don't know. I hadn't thought about it, but I hadn't thought about prediction because, we still got a long way to go offensively and defensively, and as a team, we still have a long way to go, and good thing it's only April, so we still got a couple months. But, obviously everyone's expectations before the season, every single team in the country, no matter what, everyone starts 0-0, and everyone's expectation is win the national championship, whether it's realistic or not. That's everyone's expectations. Now only one is going to fulfill that expectation, but as a team, I think, from this point on, it's get better every day, and it starts today. And did I get better today? And it's going to carry over until the first game against Texas Tech. And then if we get better every single day and as a team, I think the predictions will take care of itself because we definitely had the potential, but potential doesn't matter unless you work hard and go get it.
Well, guys, I really enjoyed interviewing Ryan. I knew he would answer those questions really humble, and I'm excited to see him get the chance to lead the offense. Being his teammate, he's kind of a quiet and shy guy, and he's quiet in interviews.
Wait, let's regress. Do you think Reed or Howard are gonna be better than you?
Oh.
They have the potential to be. I mean, I played a season and a half, so it's not that hard to beat me. I did do some pretty good things while I was here, but
had to squeeze it in.
Yeah, they definitely can. Definitely can pass me up easily.
Hayden's
definitely going to do it.
Yeah.
If not Ryan, I'll tell you.
More the question. Well, Central Arkansas starts the 2014 season with a big game against Texas Tech. What do you expect to see from Campbell's debut?
I expect a huge passing battle. Both teams, I think, are pretty similar. Both teams like to air it out. Of course, Texas Tech having a few quarterbacks recently, Baker Mayfield, Graham Harrell, and then Michael Crabtree at wide receiver. They throw the ball a lot. They don't run the ball just a whole bunch. And also their defense, I think that's where UCA could really capitalize. Their defense isn't that great. They give up a lot of points. So I think Texas Tech will come out and throw the ball like they usually do, and I think UCA will try to capitalize as much as they can on that kind of weak Texas Tech defense. Historically been weak. We don't know what they're doing in the offseason right now exactly, but I think they're similar teams, and I think we'll see a similar type of outcome. Obviously, a little higher scoring, I believe, at the Ole Miss, like the Ole Miss game, Ole Miss UCA. UCA first half looked phenomenal. I believe they actually had a 1-point lead going into halftime, but then it ended up being the depth that wore them out. Ole Miss, and of course now you can relate that to Texas Tech. Bigger name schools are going to have bigger guys, a deeper bench, and I think that's just ultimately going to get to them. I think it's going to be a little closer than Texas Tech wants it to be, but I think the first half, I think UCA could really potentially be a shock team.
Well, for the record, we should have beat Ole Miss, and we had a 6-point lead at halftime.
Okay.
Just so you know, just to clear those things up. But anyways, I think it's kind of hard to predict as far as how the game's gonna be. But I think Baker Mayfield was either a freshman or a sophomore, and he was coming on real strong towards the end of the season. last year, and I definitely see him just improving. Unless he gets hurt or something like that, I see him improving as the season progresses. In UCA being his first game, like we said, Texas Tech likes to air it out, but they're definitely going to put up some points. I mean, honestly, Texas Tech's going to put up some points, but I don't know how easy it's going to be for UCA to keep up. You said Coach Campbell's probably going to try to pass it, but he's definitely he likes those speed sweeps, and he's going to try to run it a little more. And Texas Tech's pretty lengthy at the corner position, even though we do have Des Lewis and Courtney Whitehead. But at the same time, that length is going to be a pretty big battle for them. So it's kind of hard to predict, but I don't see UCA going in and beating Texas Tech just yet. I think Texas Tech is going to put it off because their quarterback play was definitely getting pretty strong. And, Texas Tech likes to air it out. And our defense was strong, but
a little younger now.
Yeah, definitely a little younger. And that Texas Tech, that stage is going to be pretty big. Those lights are going to get pretty bright, and those eyes are going to get pretty big. So I see Texas Tech pulling it off. I don't know how quite close it's going to be, but I guess we just have to see.
I'm going to just a shout out for the ladies. I'm really upset that I'm going to miss this game. First of all, it's kind of a far travel for UCA fans. Ole Miss was a little bit closer than Texas Tech, but man, Coach Cliff.
Oh, gosh. I knew you'd bring it up.
He's kind of easy on the eyes. UCA was just a couple of years. I don't think.
Yeah.
Obviously, he chose Texas Tech from A&M.
This show
but
just took a different turn.
Man, if UCA could have got him, I would have definitely stayed.
Right.
So other than Texas Tech, the Bears play Tennessee Martin, Missouri State, and Montana State. Ryan mentioned the players are really looking forward to go back and get Montana State. They have it coming for them, along with the other teams. But through these 4 non-conference games, what do you expect the Central Arkansas record to be?
I'm gonna go out and say 2-2. I like I said just before, I think they're gonna lose to Texas Tech in a pretty good one, but also I think they're gonna lose to Montana State, who is historically good. Montana State pretty much goes to the FCS playoffs every year. You see them in the national title games a couple years also. They even won it, and not too many years back. So they're historically good. I think it's going to be. I don't know what the weather's going to be like, but of course it's probably going to be pretty chilly out in Montana. It may be affecting the UCA players at that time, but I see them coming out 2-2. Like as we played Tennessee Martin last year, we definitely should have won that game. Got a kick blocked at the end of the game. Missouri State, we won that game. We kind of should have lost it, but I see them beating UT Martin, and I see them beating Missouri State. And I think they're going to take some L's to Texas Tech and Montana State because, like I said, we discussed the Texas Tech situation already, and Montana State is historically good, and I don't see them just having a random drop-off,
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head right there. Actually, I think UCA should have beat Missouri State a lot more than they did last season just based on Missouri State's skill set, and UCA played a pretty sluggish game where they're used to putting up a lot more points than that. And obviously, like you said, I think they should have won the UT Martin game as well. But I'm going to agree with you, 2-2. Well, I think if they're not careful, it could easily go, 1-3. They can't look past these teams at all just because they're non-conference teams. One positive about Montana State, I believe Cody Kirk, their top rusher, has graduated. And if I'm not mistaken, their top quarterback, Denarius McGee, graduated as well. So I think they have that going for them. If not, correct me, but that's what I have found. So
well, I'm sticking with I'm pretty much sticking with the 2-2. Just as easily they could be 1-3, they could easily be 3-1.
Yeah.
So you never know. It's just gonna have to see how Coach Campbell wings that team.
Do you think the non-conference says a whole lot about the rest of the season to them?
Not necessarily. It's kind of tough, when you go off non-conference game. Sometimes it does depend on who you play, but they're pretty much playing, Southland Conference caliber. But at the same time, Texas Tech's kind of out of the league a little bit, but the rest of the teams is pretty much going to be that Southland Conference caliber. So it may be able to get some predictions out of those couple of games, but at the same time, conference is always a whole new dog when you get to it. It always seems conference is a little tougher because this team that you're playing against, you always played against them the past couple of years, so it always is a little tougher.
If anything, they win, they carry that momentum. They lose, you just brush it off, or you try to as much as you can and say that record doesn't matter. Let's go into conference.
Right.
Let's talk about the conference play because the Bears open Southland Conference with Nicholls State coming to Conway at the end of September. What Southland Conference games are you guys going to look forward to the most?
Well, I think like most people, even just in the Southland Conference, are going to be looking forward to UCA and SFA just because of some potential bad blood. The players want to beat Conk. I know they do. They've got to just because of like Abby said, from a player standpoint, it feels like their coach just walked out on them. But I think there's going to be some high stakes in that game. Just sheerly morale. That's basically it for that. Looking forward to UCA and Sam Houston State. Always a good game when it comes down to those two teams. Really in any sport. I know you like that too. You have some good memories about that. And then lastly, UCA and Southeastern Louisiana, just because Coach Campbell played there just for a little bit, and I think it'll be interesting to see him try to put it to that team who really dominated UCA last year. Great team last year. I'm excited to see if they're going to carry that to this season or if it, maybe a one-hit wonder. We'll see.
Yeah. Okay, first of all, I have to be crazy to not say SFA, but it's just a simple fact that, first of all, the game's no, it's not the last game of the season. It's towards the end of the season. And, depending on what their records are, that's going to be a pretty big game. And Coach Conk is going to be on the other sideline now. That's going to be crazy. So everyone knows the SFA game is going to be big. But the other game also picked is like the one you just said, the Southeastern game. Coach Campbell did play there, but also Southeastern was the conference champs last year. And I'm pretty sure UCA is going to be trying to take them down. Everyone wants to take. Southeastern has that target on their back since they just won conference, so everyone's going to be gunning for them. But Brian Bennett just ran all over UCA last year, and I think he's going to probably try to look forward to having another big game, and I'm sure they're going to want to stop that. And, I mean, their offense is probably going to be explosive again, I'm pretty sure. And UCA has this whole new system coming in. So I'm looking forward to watching that Southeastern game and, of course, the Stephen F. Austin game.
If you had to pick one relatively new team to the Southland Conference, who do you think is going to, do best of those teams?
I think Abilene Christian. They've, like I said, they've been historically good also. They're a pass-happy team also. Always have some pretty good quarterbacks coming out of Abilene. Actually, we had a running back, Marcel Threet. He left here and went to Abilene. Some unfortunate events led to him not playing, but he was a real great talent. And I expect him to go out there and do good things. But Abilene has always, pretty much always been a good football program. Quarterbacks have been great out there. Like I said, they're a pass-happy team, and they're going to come to Southland and do pretty good.
Due to the Southland Conference schedules, the new schedules that they have, the Bears are not going to play McNeese State this season, which is unfortunate because I love that game. It's always exciting. It's always a close game. I find the cowbells extremely annoying, though. I was traveling.
Mississippi State or something, right?
I was traveling about 2 years ago, I think, when you guys were at McNeese at Lake Charles and won on that last-second field goal.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
But listening on the radio, all I heard was those cowbells. And McNeese, they just played baseball this weekend, and filming that was annoying. So I wish that UCA had the chance to beat them. But is it good luck for the Bears to not play McNeese because they were very good last year?
Yeah, I'm going ahead and say it is a bit of luck. Coming from playing against McNeese the past couple seasons, like I have been doing, McNeese has always been pretty good. Throughout the years of just being in the Southland, they're always that top contender. Now that, a couple of teams have coming on strong, but McNeese has always been the top dog. Recently you're going to say, oh, what about Sam Houston? Yeah, Sam Houston just not coming on, but this has always been McNeese. And if you don't really know anything about it, it's always been McNeese. McNeese is always the top contender. They're always winning the conference championship. They always have good players. And, it's going to definitely be, I want to say the UCA is in luck that they get to miss out on McNeese because, other than that, they're probably going to be another tough one, another close one that's going to come down to the final seconds that can go either way. And, you might want to miss out on that one this time, maybe play McNeese another time. But, yeah, I definitely going to save a bit of luck because that McNeese game could definitely be a one in the loss column.
See, while I agree with that from the win-loss standpoint, I think it's unfortunate. As a football fan, really, I think the players would look forward to playing that game too, the Red Beans and Rice Bowl. I think UCA wants that back. They really were embarrassed by McNeese State last year, and I think they want revenge, and now they can't get it. They have to wait at least another year, and that's got to leave kind of a bad taste in your mouth. But, yeah, I agree. From a difficulty standpoint of the schedule, you don't want them on your schedule unless they're replacing somebody like Southeastern Louisiana. It's a different story, but still, I think from a football fan and really a player standpoint as well, I think they've got to be at least a little disappointed not to get a chance at that revenge.
Get a chance at that Red Beans and Rice Bowl.
Yep.
It sucks, but, it really can go both ways. Yeah, it can go both ways.
So 3 teams made the FCS playoffs last year from the Southland Conference. With Stephen F. Austin improving and Coach Conk taking his talents there, how difficult will it be for the Bears to make it to the FCS playoffs?
I don't think it's an unreachable goal, but I don't see it happening. I think with the schedule the way it is, UCA should be able to do all right in the conference. Maybe 5-3 is what I'm saying, but I just don't know if they'll sneak in. It's going to be real close. I think it'll be on the edge because they'll probably get at most, well, not at most, but they'll probably get 7 or 8 FCS, Division I wins. But yeah, it'll be tough. It'll be a close one. But like I said, it's not going to be unreachable. I don't think it's just way out of line to say they couldn't do it. But I don't think they might. It's going to be close. I really struggle with this one clearly. But, yeah, it's tough, but it's doable.
Yeah, I basically go on the same way. I said it's going to be pretty difficult, but also extremely possible at the same time. Most teams in the Southland, they've been improving the past few years. And like I said, when you're in conference, you play your conference teams all the time. It gets tougher and tougher. The games are always pretty good. For the most part, you never really just see a blowout. You never just see, Sam's been kicking some people's butt, but other than that, you don't really see just too much of a blowout like that. But it's gonna be pretty difficult for the Bears to go ahead and do that anyways. But this, but the Southland teams have been improving. So like I said, it's not impossible. It's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, that's become one of the better conferences in the FCS.
Yeah.
Well, the conference is super competitive, and one thing Conk did have going for him is he brought the Bears to national attention, with the field and everything else. But the Bears have consistently been in the top 25 national polls, and the highest was number 6 in the 2013 season. What do you guys think it's going to take? A new coach is awkward, adds a few awkward transition years, but do you think the Bears are going to be able to keep being in the consistent top rankings?
If the conference stays like it is, no. I don't see it because it's going to be hard to keep up with that conference. And really a lot of teams now in the Southland are doing this where they bring in a bunch of JUCO players. So they have experience, they're good already, but they only last a year or two, but then they bring in some more. And that's just, it doesn't seem to be UCA style. UCA is more of a groom. Their freshmen have really experienced good seniors, juniors when they get there. It's going to be tough. I don't know if they can consistently keep on doing it, but the foundation is set. It's possible. It's kind of like that other question I said. It's not, it's going to be hard, but it's doable.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to rapidly, consistently do it. But once we get a chance to see Coach Campbell, put that team to work and see how they overall how they kind of work out, then we'll have a better, prediction on if they can do that. But, UCA has always been known to win. Like I said, Coach Conk didn't have the same team every time, and, he found a way to do it. And I feel like, Coach Campbell has some pretty good accolades. Like I said earlier, he should be able to do it. So I honestly wouldn't be surprised to see them, back in that conference championship race for the most part, because it's kind of weird not seeing UCA up there for the conference championship contention. So it's gonna be kind of tough for UCA, but I don't just see it happening that fast. But give it a couple years, I think they're gonna be back where they left off.
What is one bold prediction you guys have for UCA football for the next year?
A bold prediction is outright Southland Conference champs. That's what I'm saying.
Wow.
If they can.
It's bold.
Yeah, that's pretty bold. I know you said bold, right? I remember bold. I'm pretty sure when we won it, we pretty much tied with Sam Houston, I think. Mm-hmm. But like I said, the bold prediction, I'm going with outright Southland champs. I'm going with Coach Campbell's coming in. He's whipping his team into shape. He gets these teams. He's watching film. He he gets to be on the team, and you know he got his players to rally behind him. Like I said, and they go out and fight, and maybe they have a phenomenal season. You never know; they might go out and win 8, 9 games. Not saying it's going to happen, but this is a bold prediction. I'm going bold with outright Southland Conference
like
champs.
you said, you got to go bold. So I'm going to go individually, though, because I don't think UCA is going to win the Southland Conference. But I think individually, I think Desmond Lewis is going to lead the league in receptions, yards, and possibly touchdowns as well. I think he's got the potential to do it. He can go up and get a lot of balls really fast. I think he could do it and be one of the best receivers in the league. I mean, definitely possible for him.
I went pretty bold, you know, so I'm going as bold as it gets. Go bold or go home.
Hey, that's okay.
Know?
This season, let's rub it in Spencer's face. As much as I can before we graduate, I predicted UCA volleyball was going to go undefeated, and I believe they did.
They lost to Arizona.
Okay, well, I meant in conference.
I had to.
All right, well, thank you for joining us on this episode of UCA Scoreboard, and join us next week as we continue to talk about men's and women's sports going on at UCA.